Good afternoon and welcome to Nationwide. We are live in Abuja. I'm Hawa Salihu Adama. Welcome. The 12th Summit of the Heads of States and Government of the Niger Basin Authority has ended with the appointment of President Marc Christian Kabore of Burkina Faso as new chairman. This is contained in a 10-point communique issued by participants after the one-day virtual engagement anchored from the State House, Abuja. The Chairman, Council of Ministers of the Authority and Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, read the communique.
Following the review of the report of the Council of Ministers, the heads of state and government took decisions on the following. 1. The construction of the NBA headquarters. 2. The implementation of the operational plan. And they nominated His Excellency Mohamed Bazoum, the President of the Republic of Niger, to conduct advocacy with his peers for the payment of their share for the construction of the NBA headquarters.
The new chairman of the authority and president of Burkina Faso, Christian Kabore, who is taking over from President Buhari for a period of 2 years. He's taken over from the President Buhari for a period of 2 years. The appointment of the new executive secretary was, however, deferred for another session to be convened by the new chairman. President Buhari congratulated the new chairman of the authority, President Christian Kabore, on his appointment, which he described as a demonstration of utmost confidence in his ability by member states.
Mandate to strengthen the effectiveness and efficiency of the authority. I want to congratulate all of us for a job well done and call on each of us to continue to muster the needed political will and courage to implement the various decisions we took today.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari had earlier called for global support towards an accelerated development of resources in the Niger Basin area. This, he emphasizes, imperative in view of the fact that 160 million people depend on the river as means of sustenance. The president was declaring open the 12th Summit of the Heads of State and Government of the Niger Basin Authority. Over now to State House correspondent Adamu Sambo.
The 12th Summit of the Heads of State and Government of the Niger Basin Authority was convened to, amongst others, review and adopt the report of the extraordinary session of the Council of Ministers, appoint new chairman as well as executive secretary of the NBA. President Muhammadu Buhari, who is the outgoing chairman, said the Niger River, commonly called Joliba, in Guinea and Mali, offers enormous development opportunities in the fields of agriculture, animal husbandry, fish farming, hydropower, and navigation.
It is therefore necessary to continue to promote its enormous potential for the benefit of our people and to improve the socio-economic development of the region.
The Nigerian leader expressed appreciation to technical and financial partners, including the African Development Bank, the Global Environment Fund, and the German Financial Cooperation for identifying with the vision and projects of the authority.
Let me also urge them to continue to support our efforts in developing the Niger Basin in the fight against pollution and the degradation of ecosystems in order to manage the resources of the Niger Basin in a sustainable and equitable manner.
President Buhari used the opportunity to give account of his 5-year stewardship, piloting the affairs of the institution, saying out of the several decisions taken at the summit, only the one on funding the operational plan of the authority 2016 to 2024 that is yet to be fully implemented. He listed other ongoing programs to include the integrated development and adaptation to climate change in the Niger Basin towards improving the resilience of the Niger River ecosystems and populations through a sustainable management of natural resources.
It should be noted to our collective delight that these achievements were only possible with your active support.
The chairman, NBA Council of Ministers and Nigeria's Water Resources Minister, Suleiman Adamu, said the authority has the mandate of, amongst others, managing the Niger Basin ecosystem, enhancing the development of the basin's shared resources in an equitable manner, and avoiding transboundary water resources conflict for the betterment of the populace.
I'm confident that the decisions reached at this summit will further actualize the dreams of our founding fathers and improve the socio-economic development of our region.
Several heads of state and government of the Niger Basin Authority member nations participated in the virtual summit. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Thanks, Adamu. And I have with me in the studio the Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Ovie Omo Agege, to shed more light on the ongoing constitutional review. Meanwhile, he is also the Senate Committee Chair on the review of the 1999 Constitution. It's nice to have you on Nationwide today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. I understand the national public hearing is holding between today and tomorrow.
Absolutely. Actually, we began the zonal hearings on Wednesday and Thursday of last week, that's 26th and 27th of last month. We decided to begin at the zonal level to gauge the feelings, to receive the inputs of people at the states, the grassroots. We've succeeded in doing that. We did that for 2 days all across the country. We went to the 6 geopolitical zones, and we had 12 centers, 2 centers per geopolitical zone. We've been very, very successful with that exercise, and we've now determined to conclude the exercise here at the national level. We started today, and we'll be concluding tomorrow.
Okay, some of the thematic areas of the review are issues like local government autonomy, fiscal federation, traditional institutions, and so many more. How responsive will you say the memoranda you've received have been?
Actually, it's been overwhelming, beginning at the zonal level. Frankly, we had difficulty actually entertaining all of the requests and the responses. The memoranda submitted by the stakeholders. The impression we took from there is that the people came out to make this a people-oriented alteration exercise. They are very interested because this is the only opportunity they have. If nothing else, let me say for this night Senate or the night Assembly, we try as much as possible to do this at least once in 4 years. But unlike in the past, the areas we've zeroed in on this time are so many to accommodate the views of so many who are agitating, for almost a brand new constitution.
Okay, I'm just wondering, in view of the security challenge that we have nationwide, what would you say it's been the body language where the issue of police and community policing is concerned?
Well, I'm not in a position yet, to give you an audit of the responses. But let me just say this. Not only am I a presiding officer of the Senate, I'm also the chairman of this committee. So I do not have a position, on any of these issues yet, at least until we get to plenary when the votes will be taken.
Okay.
But I can tell you for free that in all of the centers, there's the case has been made, memoranda has been submitted for and against, the issue of establishment of state police. I'm not in a position right now to say whether there's preponderance of those in favor or those against. I'm not in a position to say that right now. But all I can say is that this is one area, the devolution of power that we're looking into, and people are responding a lot. But at the end of the day, the burden is on those who are advocating for this, to go lobby the major stakeholders who are involved in this exercise. And by that I mean the 109 senators, the 360 members of the House of Reps, and thereafter the members of at least 2/3 of the members of House of Assemblies of the entire country. Those are the major stakeholders. They are the ones who are going to be casting the votes.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, each of us will have only one vote to cast. Yeah. So anybody who is interested in this exercise that the new state police, we're now creating a platform for them to make their case. And thereafter, it's now up to them to go reach out to those who have votes to cast.
From most of the reports compiled by my colleagues in the zones, making right to education justiciable resonated in most of the requests, or most of the submissions made. What would be your final word?
On that?
On that, and as we wrap up between today and tomorrow.
Well, what I would say is this. That's one of the areas we're looking at. We've received a lot of memoranda as well with respect to whether or not those issues contained in Chapter 2 should be justiciable or not. But at the end of the day, it's about votes. And being a Chapter 2 issue, we require 2/3 majority of the votes of the entire Senate and the House of Reps and 2/3 of the House. So at the end of the day, it's still up to those who are agitating, those who are advocating for this. So I'm not in a position to say it's a good position to take or not a good position to take. It's about votes. That's what it all comes down to. And we expect that everyone should go back home. We are senators, we represent people. Those who want me to cast a vote in favor of that, they should reach out to me for my constituency, just like they should be reaching out to everyone else who represents them in the Senate and in the House. And thereafter, hold members of the House of Assembly, hold their feet to the fire to cast their vote, otherwise pay a price if they decide not to cast their votes in favor.
I guess that's the beauty of democracy.
You bet.
Thank you very much for coming on Nationwide today.
Thanks for having me.
Truly appreciate your
for having
presence. And we are not done with the legislature, as the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating leases of federal government-owned assets has summoned the Chief Executive Officer of 5-Star Logistics and the Director General of NIMASA to appear before it during its next sitting. The committee also insists on meeting personally with heads of the agencies rather than their representatives. Dayo Ogunshola completes the report.
During the hearing, the other committee frowned at the appearance of a representative on behalf of 5-Star Logistics, stressing that if the appropriate persons invited had appeared, the committee would have moved a step further.
We have the powers to summon him and his agency, and any document we ask for must be submitted. So if we don't see him in the next appointed date with those audited accounts and with the PPP arrangement in the House, we will apply the legal instruments we have in this House.
Meanwhile, in continuation of the hearing by the Committee on Host Communities, Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission that appeared before it alleged that some agencies have been shielding their records, thereby demanding an amendment of its act to enable it to compel agencies when the needs arises.
Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission is fully in support of any lawful initiative towards the welfare and protection of the rights of host communities of the nation's natural resources.
The committee invited the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Federal Inland Revenue Services, and the Ministry of Finance to appear before it for further clarifications. From the National Assembly, Dayo Ogunshola, NTA News.
To other matters now, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the federal government is resolute in its determination to make the needed difference and rebuild the confidence of young Nigerians. The Vice President said this when announcing a new graduate skill enhancement program tagged Nigeria Jubilee Fellows in Abuja this Thursday. State House correspondent Jide Onifade completes the report.
The Nigeria Jubilee Fellows program, jointly initiated by the Office of the Vice President and the United Nations, is the latest in a long line of large-scale efforts and initiatives by the Buhari administration to comprehensively address the youth unemployment challenge in Nigeria. The quality of implementation, as Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says, will be the key to the success of the program.
I believe that this program will bridge the gap between the skills and capabilities of recent graduates and the human resource demands of the labor market, connecting graduates with opportunities to earn as they learn and to gain required experience. I urge the private sector leaders who are present here and captains of industry and our development partners and the diplomatic community to support this program aimed at equipping young Nigerians with skills and experience required for the workplace of the 21st century.
The great talent of Nigerian youth has not been well harnessed, says Mohammed Yahya, resident representative of United Nations Development Program, which he says calls for the need to provide them with skills and get linked up with industry where they are needed.
COVID-19 has disrupted the way work is done and the manner in which we access jobs, and most importantly, skill sets required to survive the new normal of the labor market. The Jubilee Fellows Program addresses these challenges by building a pipeline of talent that is future-ready. Through the program, young Nigerians will access skills that will help them navigate an evolving job market. By creating channels between graduates and companies, the program will identify the emerging skills that the companies need while equipping graduates to make impactful.
President Muhammad Buhari is scheduled to launch the takeoff of the program in a few weeks' time. In Abuja, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says the declaration of Nigeria as a failed state by the US-based organization Council on Foreign Relations is an individual's opinion and not that of the US government. The minister said this during an interactive session with members of the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture Press Corps. Anthony Forsen reports.
The declaration of Nigeria as a failed state by the Council on Foreign Relations, a United States-based organization in the words of the Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed, is the shared opinion of two people.
The facts on ground do not point to Nigeria as being a failed state. So yes, we have security challenges, which we are trying very hard to contain. Is there any country in the world that does not have its own security challenges? Absolutely. Look, I want to make it clear once again, Nigeria is not a failed state and will not be a failed state.
Lai Mohammed pointed out that even though the Council on Foreign Relations is a prominent US-based policy think tank, it cannot laud its opinion on nations.
As important and as powerful and influential as the Council on Foreign Relations, which Mr. John Campbell, on which he serves, or the World Peace Foundation, which Mr. Robert Rodberg, was his President Emeritus, that is their own personal opinion. It's their personal opinions. It's neither the opinion of the US government or any other person.
The minister recalled that this is not the first time Nigeria is being called a failed state or a state about to fail with specific deadline. Therefore, Nigerians should disregard such negative predictions about Nigeria. In Abuja, Anthony Forsen, NTA News.
And it's time to head to our Lagos Network Center where Adeola is on standby. Adeola, it's over to you.
Thank you, Hawa. More contributions and submissions of memoranda on states creation, local government autonomy, and call for new constitution dominated proceedings as the constitutional review public hearing organized by the House of Representatives ended in Lagos. Musa Toliat has details.
Although the attendance on the last day of the public hearing on constitutional review was few, more presentations and submissions were made by participants at the gathering. Position papers were presented by organizations and individuals seeking creation of local governments and issues surrounding local government autonomy.
We need to transit from the level of potentiality to reality, and we can only achieve this through a new constitution for this country.
Section 86, which requires local government when they are created to be taken to Abuja for confirmation, should be removed.
Other issues presented border on the need to repeal the Land Use Act, removal of the immunity clause to make erring political office holders accountable, political reforms to encourage youth participation in politics, gender-based concerns, and Child Rights Act.
The Land Use Act has been 43 years old. Now, if it is not taken out of the Constitution the method of amendment will be very, very difficult.
You have already enacted the Child Rights Act, but we are going to appeal that this law should be amended to make it applicable all over the country.
We want devolution of power. Give power back to the state.
If you have many women in governance, definitely it's going to, help the economy to move on.
We have all their documents they've submitted, which we are going to take back home. And of course, we are going to make sure that we capture everything.
Papers were presented by professional bodies, socio-cultural groups, traders associations, and faith-based organizations. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
Now, the alleged threat to invade Alaba market by an anonymous voice note circulating on social media has caused restlessness among traders of the electronics market. Leaving nothing to chance, the Lagos State Police Command and the leadership of the market met in Lagos to dialogue towards securing the spot. Lynn Neneke has the details.
In this hall are merchandise of various kinds of products ranging from auto spare parts, electronics and phones, among others, drawn from markets across the metropolis. The meeting is on the instance of a voice note that went viral threatening Alaba International Market traders, resulting from the insecurities being experienced in some parts of the country. In allaying their fears, Lagos State Commissioner of Police Hakeem Odumosu described the alleged threat as fake alarm, capable of inciting the populace and destroying the unity of the state.
So many times we had that on the social media, and we have through technology gotten the people that are giving all this out, arrested, prosecuted. The same thing on this one, and not only police, security agencies were synergy on this.
The interactive session dwells largely on fostering security and unity of the country, with a call to all and sundry to eschew all forms of violence.
You cannot have that type of message and hide it for the security purpose. And as we are coming here today, we have more assurance from the Commissioner of Police that they are there with us, that anytime that we call them, they will answer us.
Today we have learned how to differentiate the visitors from strangers. So we will keep our eyes open. I'm going to tell my people that security is not only for police, but everybody's affairs.
The Commissioner of Police, Hakeem Odumosu, hinted that the command will embark on a show of force to send warning to perpetrators of unrest while tackling any form of insecurity in the state. In Lagos, Lynn Lenake, NTA News.
Now, Kemi Akinwade in Ibadan has the next set of reports on Nationwide after this break. Just stay with us.
Welcome to Ibadan. President Muhammadu Buhari has reiterated the commitment of his administration to make life more meaningful for Nigerian youths. This came up at the second Leadership Forum held at Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State. Adejoke Luyemi's report is here presented.
Youths from different professional fields, tribes and religions converge on Oduduwa Hall, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, for the Young Leadership Forum. The Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Dare, who represented President Muhammadu Buhari, urged Nigerian youth not to lose hope, stating that government has set up many policies that could make life bearable for future generations.
We've been doing, trying to keep the youth busy, and also making sure that we support their skills, their careers, and their visions. We create opportunities for them. I talked about the NPower scheme. I talked about 3 years ago, this president signed the Not Too Young to Run bill, which opened the windows and the doors for our young ones. So many of them are in elective positions right now.
The Oni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Enitan Ogunwuse, at the event charged Nigerian leaders to prioritize youth and create good ideas that could benefit them.
Stop complaining. Stop it. Don't let us complain again. Let us all work together and make sure that leadership, position, and positioning is now very strategic. Be strategic in anything you're doing.
Various speakers affirmed that the awards given to the youths at the events will encourage them to do more.
Attention has been drawn on the need to enforce the existing laws regarding skincare products and ensure skin health, especially in school children. This is towards averting communal infection that may lead to prolonged complications such as chronic kidney disease. A professor of medicine at Juvenile gave this advice at a lecture in Ibadan.
The topic of the lecture, external protector and revealer of internal maladies, organ of beauty and shame, dwelt on the optimal skin health to promote beauty and detect internal diseases and chronic complications. Professor Gumpiyi says, as an external protector of the body, the skin requires proper care from the tender scalp to the thick sole of the feet.
By examining the skin, things we take for granted, a rash on the skin, people take it for granted. They just go and see a chemist who just treats that. It might be suggesting that there's something wrong with you inside.
Concerns were particularly on the present inadequate number of dermatologists in Nigeria, with emphasis on providing quality health care for patients with skin disorders. The consultant dermatologist harped on the need for personal hygiene, discouraged self-medication and traumatic hairstyling methods to prevent degrees of hair loss and other scalp disorders which can occur even in children.
And that's it from Ibadan. Hawa, it's back to you.
Many thanks, Kemi. And now to the judiciary. An appeal has gone to state governments across Nigeria to pay more attention to the rehabilitation of juveniles that are found to have breached the nation's criminal justice system. Chairman of the Presidential Committee for the Reform and Decongestion of the nation's correctional centers, Justice Ishaq Bello, made the call at the commencement of a nationwide tour of juvenile correctional centers. Femi Okeo has more.
The Nigerian criminal justice system does not allow juveniles to be incarcerated or remanded in correctional centers along with adults. But the experience of the Presidential Committee on the Reform of Correctional Centers in the last 3 years of its existence shows that this rule has always been violated, with children found in various correctional centers across the country. This is why, on resumption of its tour of correctional centers, focus is now on juveniles and efforts to reform them. Lagos was the first place of focus, where chairman of the Presidential Committee led other members to inspect both the male and female juvenile rehabilitation centers located in Idiaraba for female and Oregun for the males. With the kind of facilities found in the two centers, Justice Ishaq Bello said that they can serve as model for other states in the country.
We want to enhance juvenile justice across the country, and we believe part of our report should be very comprehensive enough when we submit our recommendations to Mr. President as to what's to be done to address child crime.
Of particular interest to the Presidential Committee are the academic and vocational education being given to the inmates. This, the committee says, should also be replicated even at the federal level, which has only 3 juvenile centers across the country, one in Kaduna, Ilorin, and Abeokuta. The Lagos experience has shown that states can do a lot to intervene in the justice system, particularly the juvenile arm of it in Nigeria. Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
The Governing Council of the Nigerian Examinations Council, NECO, has appointed Ebike Bina John Ogborodi as the acting registrar of the body. A statement signed by the Director Human Resource Management, Mustafa Abdul, says his appointment follows the death of the registrar, Professor Godswill Obioma. Until his appointment, Ogborodi was the Director Special Duties in the Council and the most senior director. The acting registrar, who hails from Sagbama local government area of Bayelsa State, joined the service of NECO in 1999 and has served in different capacities. The health sector under the Buhari administration has recorded giant strides, leading to the World Health Organization honoring Nigeria for its proactive role in tackling the coronavirus pandemic. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria, however, say more needs to be done in the area of infrastructure and primary health care, and agree that synergy amongst the various levels of healthcare systems will further position the sector to realize the universal health for all. Lydia Sampson completes the report.
For the Minister of Health and other guests, getting it right in tackling the weak primary healthcare systems is synonymous to others falling into place. These, they say, will go a long way in complementing and strengthening federal government's efforts.
The bulk of the population will have a primary healthcare center near enough to them, within a few kilometers or even a few 100 meters. And it is at this level that you take care of the majority, perhaps 60 to 70% of your disease burden.
The guests are also unanimous that COVID-19 is an eye-opener to the fact that the health sector must be reinvigorated.
In the area of responding, in the history of our disease control in Nigeria, we have reduced our response time. Now, before, if there's any outbreak here and there, it will take us 3, 4, 5 weeks to mobilize and go there. But with the advent of NCDC, all the health institutions, and we responded, we were not disgraced.
Nigeria is an example to the world when it came to the issue of control of COVID-19, and before then, the Ebola situation. I want Nigerians, both the government and the people, to be saluted.
They, however, caution that Nigeria is not out of the woods with COVID-19, stressing that while government will not relent, citizens must still adhere to the COVID-19 protocols. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
And it's the turn of our Maiduguri Network Center, and Abubakar is our guide. He will be giving us good news about 100 indigenous students from that zone. Abubakar.
You can say that again, Hawa. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us in Maiduguri. Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umar Zulum has directed the enrollment of 100 indigenous students to study quantity survey. The governor gave the directive while declaring open a 2-day zonal workshop in Maiduguri organized by the Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors. Mohammed Goni completes the story.
The 2-day workshop, organized by the Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors across the 6 geopolitical zone, has the theme, the importance of resource schedule for inclusive development of construction. Professor Babagana Umar said, Borno is in the phase of reconstruction and resettlement after a decade-long insurgency. Hence, it is time to talk about resource schedule, describing the workshop as timely.
I have no doubt that the construction industry needs to be given its due space as one of the key sectors of the recovery efforts and the economy. The capacity to build Borno and indeed Nigeria recovery from the huge economic challenges that is confronting us.
The governor, who declared that there are only 9 registered quantity surveyors in Borno, also directed that each local government area should submit names of 3 students from vulnerable families to be sponsored to study quantity survey. President, Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors, Mohamed Abator, said the hierarchy of the institute decided to come down to Borno because of its peculiar situation, which led to massive reconstruction that is ongoing, and thank Governor Zulum for the huge support extended to their institute.
The overall aim of this workshop, sir, is to penetrate the lower end of the console industry market, thereby contribute optimally to sustain national growth and development.
Secretary General of the organization, Aminu Bashir, said the Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors is set to deepen its contribution to national development through a new initiative that targets the informal construction sector. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
Away from issues concerning education now, the need for localization of humanitarian response, especially in crisis-affected communities, has been described as the best way to help provide the needed assistance to people affected by conflict. It is in the light of this that an assessment and capacity-building workshop for local humanitarian actors was organized in Maiduguri to enable them render assistance whenever it is needed. Jadwa John Jesney has more details.
The workshop under the Lake Chad Basin Capacity Development Project was aimed at targeting local humanitarian actors with a view to assessing their strengths and weaknesses in terms of providing support to communities affected by conflict in the Lake Chad region. Organizational Development Advisor, who was also a resource person at the training, Saeed Hassan, revealed that the project, which is funded by Norwegian Capacity to International Operations, NOCAP, and the World Food Programme, WFP, seeks to empower local civil society groups who are first respondents when it comes to providing support to communities.
If we empower more local civil society organizations, it brings cost effectiveness and more access to the people who are in need of humanitarian assistance.
Executive Director, Network for Civil Society Organizations in Borno, Ambassador Ahmed Shehu, reaffirmed that carrying local community-based organizations along will go a long way in extending humanitarian support to people at the grassroots as they are conversant with the languages and terrain, among other advantages.
If we train our people, if they have the capacities, they can be able to get the fund and then they can be able to provide support, not only support, but sustainable support that will ensure that the effect of this insurgency is reduced from the people of Borno State.
The capacity building training is coming at a time when several communities in the shores of the Lake Chad are affected by the several years of violent conflicts in the region. In Maiduguri, Jadwa, John Jesney, NTA News.
This is nationwide on the largest television network in Africa, the NTA. Ogochukwuka Ona in Benin has more stories for us, but that
reaching you from the heartbeat of the nation. Participants at the House of Representatives public hearing on the review of the 1999 Constitution have advocated the establishment of ecclesiastical courts in Nigeria. Olubimi Rojo reports that this formed part of the papers presented at the Southwest Zonal Public Hearing in Akure, which has participants from Ondo, Osun, and Ekiti states.
Featured among tweets and should be given should have.
We sincerely apologize for the mix-up in our Benin Network Center. Moving on here in Abuja, the Nigeria Union of Journalists is brazen up to reunite the country by challenging its members to shun sensational reportage and focus on ways to assist the nation in overcoming insecurity. The NUJ President, Chris Isiguzo, said the union is disturbed about how politics, tribal and religious sentiments are used to erode citizens' confidence in the ability of government to deal with insecurity in parts of the country.
So we must bear in mind that we have only one country, and that's Nigeria, that we can call our own. As media professionals, if we communicate fear, there will be fear in the system. If you communicate anarchy, there will be anarchy in the system. If you communicate panic, there will be panic in the system. So we must work together, salvage the situation, address our challenges, defeat it, and emerge stronger.
The role of the media in contributing to national development, the third national conference of the NUJ, scheduled for next week in Port Harcourt, considers the role of the media in security and national unity, where professionals are expected to brainstorm on best way to address the situation. The Defense Headquarters has cleared the way on alleged pending mass retirement of senior military officers, sequel to the recent appointment of Major General Farouk Yahaya of the Coast 37 as the Chief of the Army Staff. The Acting Director Defense Information, Brigadier General Bernard Onyeko, made the clarification at a news conference on periodic operational updates on ongoing armed forces operations across the country.
Who desire to do so. At this point in time, no retirement has been authorized by the Military High Command.
In another development, the Kano State Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje was at the Defense Headquarters to solicit the military's support to intensify its operations in that state by further dominating Falgore Forest, that is, harboring criminals.
For further synergy with the security operatives in Kano so that we keep Kano in peace and safe.
Governor J also condoled with the armed forces over the death of the late Chief of the Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, and 10 others. Still staying with the military, the Nigerian Army troops and air component of Operation Hadinkai have inflicted heavy casualty on the Islamic State West Africa province, ISWAP, terrorists who launched a fatal attack on Dambuwa local government area of Borno State. A statement by the Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Mohammed Yarima says the troops successfully defeated the invaders, destroyed the locally fabricated armored plated vehicles and killed over 50 ISWAP terrorists, even as the Nigerian Air Force intensified attack from the air, forcing the rest to disintegrate in disarray. The Chief of Army Staff, Major General Farouk Yahaya, congratulated the troops, including the air components, for this great achievement. Apart from frequent cases of boat mishaps in the nation's inland waterways, maritime crime is another area of worry, and the Nigerian police is rising up to the occasion by deploying maritime police to ensure safer waters. Francis Form reports that the police, at a meeting between the acting IGP and the leadership of the National Inland Waterways, also promised to ensure that passengers are fully kitted before boarding.
High traffic on the road. The roads are overstretched. The ports are congested. But the waterways, the next option, is not safe.
What if our waterways are all year-round navigable, channels are open? What that means is that we'll remove 2 million trailers from the road. And we now save our road infrastructure, we reduce the pressure and make cargo movement a lot cheaper.
Sea pirates turn passengers on the waterways their praise. NEWA seeks for solution. Police willing to help. Maritime crime will be gradually wiped out on the water surfaces. The police chief is confident.
Because there's no way we can do this successfully without having police cover, police security. Without it, we really cannot do much in that regard.
We will synergize, collaborate, and work with you. And we will support you in driving whatever things you want to do to improve what you have made in that place.
Partnership expected to deliver economic prosperity in inland waterways subsector. Francis from NTA News.
We are not done with security matters, as the Imo State Police Command says it will continue in its fight against criminality in order to restore peace and bring perpetrators to book. The police public relations officer, Bala Elkana, was reacting to social media reports on alleged extrajudicial killings in the state. Loretta Arinze Ewim completes the report.
The social media in recent time has been awash with news of alleged killings in Imo State, including that of a German returnee who was shot on his way to the Sam Mbakwe International Cargo Airport to Owerri and later died. The police public relations officer, Imo State Command, Bala Ekana, says investigation is ongoing as they are liaising with the security agency involved to unravel the circumstances surrounding the incident.
We are investigating the circumstances surrounding that particular incident. What went wrong? If anybody is culpable at the end of the day, then the law will take its full course.
On the alleged indiscriminate arrest of some youths in the state, he says actions are taken based on intelligence reports. He assures that efforts of the police is yielding positive results as over 80 inmates who escaped during the April 2021 jailbreak have been rearrested. He calls on the people to continue to provide useful information as the Imo State Police Command is committed to ending insecurity across the states. In Owerri, Lorita Rinzegwim, NTA News.
And the Osun State Police Command has confirmed attempted attack, armed robbery attacks on First Bank Ikire and Access Bank Akpomo in Osun State around 6 o'clock in the evening on Wednesday. The incident, the command spokesperson Yemisi Okpalola says, claimed the lives of an assistant superintendent of police, an inspector, and 2 special constabularies, as well as 3 civilians. The armed robbers, numbering about 35, were said to have arrived in 5 vehicles and simultaneously attacked Ikire Divisional Police Headquarters in a bid to subdue the police while attempting to rob the 2 banks. They were, however, unsuccessful in their bid as reinforcement teams came in and overwhelmed the robbers in a fierce gun draw. They fled into the bush with gunshot wounds, abandoning 2 of their operational vehicles. Efforts are ongoing to apprehend the fleeing suspects, the police confirmed. And the police in Ondo State have confirmed the snatching of a school bus by a gang of armed robbers in the early hours of Thursday in Akure. Kayode Olorundari reports that no student was in the bus when the incident occurred, but the only occupant has since returned to the school.
Residents of Akure, the Ondo State capital, were in the early hours of today thrown into confusion as news of an alleged attack of a school bus filtered into town. NTA News investigations revealed that the incident occurred around 6:45 a.m. when the school bus went on the daily routine of picking pupils, but was intercepted by a gang of robbers.
They came with bike. There are about 8 of them. They were at the gate of that house, so about to pick that child, that they now asked them to stop with gun. They showed their gun and axe, according to them.
Confirming the incident, the Ondo State Police Public Relations Officer Tilio Ikoro dispelled the widespread reports of kidnapping.
It was a mere case of car snatching or armed robbery because they actually accosted the driver at gunpoint, asked him down. But what we did is that after that, the CP also told people at banks, because it could be used for any other crime, and then people should be on the alert.
Residents of the Obaile area of Akure, where the incident occurred, expressed.
Before now, something similar happened, which a woman was about to kidnap, but she got wind of it and she zoomed up.
The driver and the only occupant of the school bus are home safe. In Akure, Kayode Olorundari, NTA News.
Sports now, and